January 22, 2026, 6:47 a.m. Gulf of Aden. 2 U.S. Navy cargo ships carrying military supplies steam through international waters. 1 destroyer provides escort, routine transit, standard protection. Nothing unusual about the morning. Then the radar operator sees something that shouldn't be there. 24 contacts, moving fast, converging from 3 directions simultaneously. 180 Somali pirates are about to learn why you don't attack American warships. But this isn't a story about pirates losing a fight. It's about what happens when desperation meets $12 million in funding, and why that money trail reveals something nobody expected. The numbers seem straightforward. 180 pirates in 24 speedboats versus 1 U.S. Navy destroyer and 2 cargo ships. American firepower versus Somali desperation. Modern weapons versus poverty and RPGs. But nothing about this attack is what it appears to be. The USS Winston S. Churchill had been on station for 6 weeks. Part of Combined Task Force 151, the International Anti-Piracy Coalition. The destroyer's mission: protect commercial shipping lanes, escort supply vessels, deter pirate attacks through presence alone. Most pirates, when they saw a U.S. Navy destroyer, turned around. Not worth the risk. Not worth dying over a cargo ship they couldn't capture anyway. The destroyer's gray silhouette against the horizon was usually enough deterrent. But on January 22nd, deterrence failed. At 6:43 a.m., the Churchill's Aden Spyway 1D radar detected multiple surface contacts. Small, fast-moving, coming from the Somali coast 60 miles away. Standard pirate profile. The watch officer noted it but wasn't concerned. Pirates typically scattered when they identified military vessels. These didn't scatter. They accelerated. By 6:47 a.m., the tactical picture became clear. 24 speedboats in 3 groups. 8 boats from the north, 8 from the south, 8 from the east, converging on the convoy from different angles. Coordinated timing, military-style tactics. This wasn't opportunistic piracy. This was a planned assault. Captain Marcus Webb ordered general quarters. Alarm klaxons wailed throughout the destroyer. Sailors sprinted to battle stations. The Churchill's weapons systems came alive. Phalanx CIWS guns tracked targets. 25mm cannons trained on approaching boats. The 2 cargo ships increased speed and moved closer to the destroyer's protective envelope. But something was wrong. Pirates didn't coordinate like this. They didn't attack in formations. They didn't assault U.S. Navy warships with escort. So why were 180 men charging towards certain death? The first speedboats came within weapons range at 6:51 a.m. 4 miles out, close enough to see details through the Churchill's optical systems. Each boat carried 7 to 8 men. AK-47 rifles visible. RPG-7 launchers. PKM machine guns mounted on bows. The boats were overloaded, riding low in the water from the weight of weapons and men. Captain Webb made the first decision. He ordered warning shots. The Churchill's 25mm cannon fired a burst 300 yards ahead of the lead boat. Massive geysers of water erupted. The universal signal, turn back or die. The pirates didn't turn back. At 6:52 a.m., the lead boat fired an RPG. The rocket-propelled grenade arced through the air, fell short by 200 yards, splashed harmlessly into the ocean. But it was a declaration. This was combat. Captain Webb gave the order. Weapons free. Engage hostile targets. The Churchill's forward 25mm cannon opened fire. Tracer rounds streaked across the water at 3,000 feet per second. The first burst hit a speedboat dead center. The boat disintegrated in a shower of fiberglass and body parts. Gone in 2 seconds. The second boat swerved, trying evasive maneuvers. pointless against radar-guided weapons. Another burst. Another boat destroyed. Bodies and debris scattered across the waves. Within 90 seconds, 6 pirate boats were sunk. 48 pirates, dead or in the water. The ocean turned into a debris field of burning fuel, shattered hulls, and floating bodies. Any rational force would have retreated, recognized the futility, turned around while they still could. The remaining 18 boats kept coming. Stay with me, because what drives men to charge into death reveals everything about this attack. The pirates split into 3 attack groups. Northern boats targeted the lead cargo ship. Southern boats went for the rear cargo ship. Eastern boats made straight for the destroyer. Classic pincer movement. Force the destroyer to choose which ships to protect. Divide American firepower. It was sophisticated. Too sophisticated for Somali pirates operating on instinct and greed. Someone had trained them. Someone had planned this. Someone had convinced 180 men that attacking a U.S. Navy destroyer was survivable. The Churchill's guns couldn't engage all targets simultaneously. The destroyer's weapon systems prioritized threats. Eastern Group first, direct threat to the warship. Northern and Southern Group second, threats to cargo ships. At 6:54 a.m., 8 speedboats charged the Churchill from the east. They came in fast, weaving patterns, making targeting difficult. Smart tactics. Whoever trained them knew how to attack warships. But smart tactics don't beat American firepower. The Phalanx CIWS engaged. The autonomous weapon system tracked incoming threats, calculated intercept solutions, opened fire without human input. 6,000 rounds per minute of 20mm tungsten shells. The sound was a continuous roar. 3 boats shredded in 8 seconds. The ocean churned with impacts. The remaining 5 boats got within a mile, close enough to fire RPGs. They launched simultaneously. 5 rockets in the air. Standard procedure. Overwhelmed defensive systems with numbers. The Phalanx engaged the rockets. Destroyed 3 in flight. The other 2 fell short. They'd launched from too far away. Gravity and wind defeated them before they reached target. The 5 boats turned, trying to escape. Too late. The 25mm cannon tracked them, methodically destroyed each boat. 90 seconds. 5 boats gone. 40 pirates dead. But while the Churchill engaged the Eastern Group, the Northern and Southern groups reached the cargo ships. The cargo vessels had defensive measures, water cannons, acoustic weapons, barbed wire on railings. But they weren't warships. They weren't designed for combat. And now pirates were alongside, throwing grappling hooks, trying to board. This was the pirates' plan. Force the destroyer to engage while they captured the cargo ships. Use American sailors as hostages. Create a standoff. It might have worked. Against a different navy. A different crew. But they'd picked the wrong convoy. At 6:56 a.m., 2 MH-60 Seahawk helicopters arrived. They'd launched from the Churchill at the first radar contact. Circled at distance while the destroyer engaged. Now they swept in from opposite directions. Each helicopter mounted 2 M240 machine guns in the doors. Each gunner had clear fields of fire. Each pilot had thermal imaging showing every pirate on every boat. The Northern Group never saw them coming. The first helicopter made a gun run along the line of 8 boats. 50 caliber rounds at 850 rounds per minute. The machine gun fire was devastating. It punched through speedboat hulls like paper, through engines, through the pirates themselves. The first boat exploded as rounds hit its fuel tank. The fireball engulfed 2 more boats nearby. Pirates threw themselves into the water, burning. Some tried to shoot back at the helicopter. Futile. Small arms fire against an aircraft 200 feet up, moving at 140 knots. The second helicopter engaged the southern group. Same tactics. Gun runs along the boat line. Precision fire. The gunners could see individual pirates through their sights. They eliminated threats with surgical accuracy. Within 4 minutes, 14 more boats were sunk or burning. The ocean became a kill zone. Pirates in the water. Bodies floating. Debris burning. Survivors trying to swim away from the carnage. Some raised their hands in surrender. Some stripped off their weapons and dove underwater, trying to hide. Some kept fighting, firing AK-47s at helicopters they couldn't hit. The helicopters circled, watching. The Churchill moved closer, covering the survivors with weapons. The cargo ships maintained distance, away from the survivors. By 7:03 a.m., 16 minutes after the first shot, the battle was over. 24 speedboats attacked. 6 destroyed by the Churchill's initial engagement. 18 more sunk by combined helicopter and destroyer fire. 0 boats escaped. 180 pirates started the attack. 67 killed in the fighting. 43 captured from the water. The rest drowned or disappeared. The U.S. Navy suffered 0 casualties. 0 damage to ships. 0 injuries. But here's where the story becomes interesting. Because when the Churchill's boarding team searched the captured pirates and recovered bodies, they found something unexpected. Every pirate had the same amount of cash. Exactly $6,500 in U.S. currency. Waterproofed. Sealed in plastic. 180 pirates. $6,500 each. That's $1.17 million in cash on a pirate attack that had 0 chance of success. The captured pirates were interrogated. Most wouldn't talk, refused to give information. But 3 did. Young men, teenagers, terrified, thinking they'd be executed. They told the same story. A man came to their villages 3 weeks earlier. He wasn't Somali. He spoke through an interpreter. He offered money. Lots of money. $6,500 up front. Another $6,500 when the job was done. All they had to do was attack a convoy. Any convoy. Didn't matter which one. They were told the American ships wouldn't shoot. That U.S. Navy had rules of engagement preventing them from firing on small boats. That they could get close, scare the ships, maybe capture one. Easy money. No risk. 180 men believed that lie. Believed it enough to charge a destroyer. Believed it enough to die for it. But who would spend $1.17 million to send pirates on a suicide mission? Who would lie to them about American rules of engagement? Who would deliberately sacrifice 180 men for an attack that couldn't succeed? The intelligence analysis began immediately. The captured pirates' phones revealed communications. The cash was traced through serial numbers. Bank records were subpoenaed. The investigation expanded across 3 continents. What they found changed everything about the attack. The money came from ransom payments. Specifically, from a $12 million ransom, paid 6 months earlier, for a Greek cargo ship. The ship's owners had paid. The crew was released. Standard piracy transaction. That money flowed through banks in Somalia, Kenya, and Dubai. But then it did something unusual. Instead of disappearing into the normal criminal economy, $1.17 million was pulled out, converted to U.S. currency, distributed to 180 men for a suicide attack. Why? What was worth killing 180 pirates? The answer wasn't about the convoy. It was about the response. The U.S. Navy had been scaling back anti-piracy operations. Fewer ships on patrol. Longer gaps between escorts. Budget cuts. Strategic priorities shifting to China and Russia. Piracy in the Gulf of Aden had declined anyway. Fewer attacks. Fewer ransoms. The problem seemed solved. But shipping companies were getting complacent. Some stopped using armed guards. Some cut costs on security measures. Some took risks, traveling without military escort. The attack on January 22nd changed that overnight. The footage of 180 pirates attacking a U.S. Navy convoy went global. Video of helicopters destroying speedboats, images of burning wrecks and captured fighters. The message was clear. Piracy wasn't dead. The threat remained. Within 48 hours, shipping companies reinstated security protocols, hired more armed guards, demanded more naval escorts. Insurance rates increased. Security spending jumped. And the pirate networks that survived, they watched as their business model got more expensive, more complicated, more risky. The attack cost them $1.17 million in cash and 180 men. But it cost the broader pirate ecosystem much more. It triggered a response that made piracy harder and less profitable across the entire region. Someone sacrificed 180 pirates to destroy the pirate business model itself. But who? And why? The investigation traced the money further, through shell companies, through intermediaries, through layers of financial obfuscation designed to hide the source. It dead-ended at a maritime insurance company. European, legitimate, one of the largest in the industry. They'd lost $340 million in piracy-related claims over 5 years. Ships seized, ransoms paid, crews injured. Every attack cost them money. But they couldn't refuse to insure ships in the Gulf of Aden. Couldn't charge rates high enough to cover the risk without losing business to competitors. So they created a different solution. Spend $1.17 million. Sacrifice 180 pirates in a spectacular attack. Trigger a security response that makes piracy harder. Reduce future claims. It was cheaper than paying ransoms, more effective than increasing premiums, and completely deniable. The pirates were told they'd be heroes, told they'd capture American ships, told they'd become rich and famous. They believed the lie because they wanted to believe it. Because $6,500 was more money than most had ever seen. Because poverty makes men desperate. 180 men died believing they were pirates. They weren't. They were pawns. Expendable assets in a corporate cost reduction strategy. Their attack was designed to fail. Their deaths were planned. Their sacrifice was calculated down to the dollar. The pirate commander who led the attack. His name was Hassan Abdullahi Hirsi, former Somali naval officer, 47 years old, father of 6. He'd turned to piracy after the government collapsed, ran a successful operation for 3 years, shared his profits with his village, built a school, paid for medical care. He was killed in the first 90 seconds, destroyed by the Churchill's 25mm cannon. His body was never recovered. His family received $6,500 in cash, the only payment they ever got. The insurance company was never charged. No evidence directly linked them to the attack. The money trail was too complicated. Too many They saved an estimated $200 million in future piracy claims. Their stock price increased. Shareholders were pleased. 180 men dead. 67 bodies recovered. 43 captured and facing piracy charges in U.S. courts. The rest missing, presumed drowned. The U.S. Navy called it a successful anti-piracy operation. A demonstration of American naval power. A warning to anyone considering maritime crime. They were right, but not for the reasons they thought. The attack on January 22nd was successful. Just not for the pirates, not for Hassan Abdullahi Hirsi, not for the 180 men who believed they were going to get rich. It was successful for whoever planned it, whoever spent $1.17 million to kill 180 pirates and destroy the piracy business model, Whoever calculated that dead Somalis were cheaper than ransom payments? That's the real story of the Gulf of Aden attack. Not the firefight, not the American victory, but the cold mathematics of corporate cost-benefit analysis. You can destroy 24 speedboats with American firepower. You can kill 67 pirates and capture 43 more. You can win every battle, demonstrate every capability, achieve every tactical objective. But if the men you're killing are pawns, if their deaths serve someone else's purpose, if their attack was designed to fail from the start, then you haven't won anything. You've just pulled the trigger in someone else's plan. The MH-60 Seahawks returned to the Churchill at 7:14 a.m. The gunners were congratulated. Mission success. Perfect execution. 0 friendly casualties. They didn't know they'd just eliminated expendable assets in a corporate insurance strategy. They didn't know Hassan Abdullahi Hirsi had been lied to. They didn't know the attack was designed to fail. They just knew they'd defended American ships against pirates, done their jobs, protected the convoy. And they had, perfectly, exactly as someone planned they would. That's what makes this story different. The American victory was real. The firepower was real. The courage was real. But so was the manipulation. So was the lie that sent 180 men to their deaths. So was the corporate calculation that those deaths were worth $1.17 million. The ocean doesn't care about the mathematics. It just swallows bodies, burns wreckage, keeps rolling. By 8 a.m., the debris had scattered. By noon, most evidence had sunk. By the next day, the Gulf of Aden looked the same as always. Just 67 fewer pirates in the world. 43 in custody. 70 families missing fathers and sons and brothers. And somewhere in Europe, an insurance company's quarterly earnings report showed reduced piracy-related claims. Cost-saving measures implemented. Shareholder value increased. They call it risk management, asset optimization, strategic loss mitigation. Hassan Abdullahi Hirsi called it a chance to feed his family. 179 other men called it easy money. The ocean calls it Tuesday. That's the truth about the attack on January 22nd. The truth nobody wanted to find. The truth that makes everyone uncomfortable. Because it means the good guys and bad guys aren't always who they seem. Because it means victories can serve evil purposes. Because it means 180 dead pirates might be exactly what someone wanted. The U.S. Navy did their job perfectly. They should be proud. Their sailors performed flawlessly. Their tactics were textbook. Their courage was genuine. But perfect execution of a just mission doesn't mean you understand the bigger game. Doesn't mean you know who's moving the pieces. Doesn't mean your victory serves the cause you think it does. Sometimes the pawns die, believing they're players. Sometimes the players win by sacrificing pawns. Sometimes the only way to stop the game is to see the whole board. The Gulf of Aden is still dangerous. Pirates still operate. Ships still need escorts. The war continues. But on January 22nd, someone proved you can win by losing, can profit from death, can calculate the exact dollar value of human sacrifice. And nobody stopped them. Nobody charged them. Nobody even named them publicly. Because proving it would require admitting that sometimes we're all pawns. Sometimes the battles we win serve purposes we don't understand. Sometimes the enemy isn't who we're shooting at. That's what the 180 pirates taught us. By dying. By believing the lie. By attacking a convoy they had zero chance of defeating. They taught us to ask whose purpose we serve. Whose plan we execute. Whose strategy benefits from our victories. The U.S. Navy destroyed 24 speedboats and killed 67 pirates. Mission accomplished. Perfect execution. And somewhere, someone counted their profits and marked the operation a success.